was Valera. That was always a card I really wanted to play with and I enjoyed playing with, but it didn't really have a place outside of really broken, playing a lot of vicious scale hides and not dying ever.
So I'm a priest main, hence the shirt. So, and Vol'jin is okay, but I was kind of, it was never really that great. But the Secret Agent didn't come through, and I am very, very disappointed because, I mean, Draconid Operative is just one of the most fun cards. I don't care if you hate Raza Priest, and you still hate Raza Priest to this day. I don't care. That was a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun playing Dragon Priest, and I would like to see that card come back. That was a fun card.
You know, with all the mechs that we have, it'd be cool if we had Mech Warper back, right?
No.
Like Mech Warper, Snip Snap, that would be cool.
I thought you were going to say Mimihons.
Wait, what? I'm just kidding.
I'm the priest main here.
Hey,
I'm the one who's supposed to ruin everyone's fun, not you.
Okay, let me bring it back to fun then. Honestly, I'd like to twist the question, and what I would love is something that's kind of been thought about for a while, is if Wild were a place where everything was unnerved. And I think that especially now, we really need some kind of breath into their. I don't even care. I'm sure I speak on behalf of lots of Wild players on that. But it'd be fun to play with original Warsong Commander in some kind of place. It'd be fun to see Molten Giants and
Starving Buzzard.
And Unleash the Hound. How much was Unleash the Hounds originally?
I think it was all over the map from 1 to 4 at different iterations of the first year of Hearthstone.
How far back are we going? We're going to 8-mana Pyroblast? Are we going that far?
I'm talking about when coining Defias Ringleader on turn 1 was the right play.
Yeah.
Because you had 2/2s. Oh, so good.
Okay, you guys are making me twitch now. Let's move on to the next question.
All right, so with the dragon theme we have kind of teased so far, do you think that Blizzard might include the human variants of the dragons themselves, such as Ysera, Nyxia, Calicos, and such?
So sorry.
Yeah.
Are they gonna?
Yeah.
Are they gonna bring the human versions of dragons into?
Oh,
okay.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Like have a dragon Nostormu and a human Dorsnoma. Yeah, that word.
So there's a little game, I don't know if you've heard of it, Legends of Runeterra. I don't know if anyone's played it. Sorry, I hate to bring it up, but that game really proved that being able to upgrade a card is a pretty cool, fun feeling. And when you said that, I immediately thought to that, I'd love to play with the human versions and upgrade them into dragons or something. That would be really sick. I'd love to see something like that.
They were a somehow weaker version of the card, and then you had to fulfill a condition, almost like a mini quest.
Like a spellstone, but not broken.
Yeah. But only active when it's on the board or something, so your opponent has a chance to react and kill the human version or the elf version or whatever, the mortal version of the dragon before it actually evolved into its full powerful dragon
That would be
form.
pretty cool.
Man, I am on board with that. Let's do it.
I just think it'd be hilarious if the meme kept going, because it seems like every year they have Year of the Kraken, but there's no Krakens in any of the sets, and then Year of the Mammoth.
There were tentacles in Year of the Kraken,
there was one, and then now we have 2 dragons in Year of the Dragon. Maybe they just have all the human forms and no dragons in this set. I think that'd be hilarious.
Well, Ixar did say that the meta was going to be that you could stick Ysera and win. He didn't say which Ysera, so.
Oh, that's true.
All right, excellent. Are there any other questions that we have for our panel? Up front. All the way up front. Here we go.
If you could design a secret for any of the classes that have secrets, what would it be?
Oh man, design a secret off the top of your head. No pressure. Let's go, guys.
I think there's one of us on this table who's designed an entire set. So
I did do that. I don't remember if I had any.
You had secrets in there.
I must have.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure there was a hunter secret in there, but I don't remember off the top. I do remember I applied for several positions at Blizzard, but one of them was for initial game design. And as part of that, they do a design test once you get past the initial interview and everything. And I submitted a secret called Flash Freeze. Very flavorful for Mage. As soon as you play a minion, freeze your board. And they were like, don't you think that'd be really annoying? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That would probably be really annoying. Sorry. So I didn't get that job.
What if it wasn't the whole board, though? What if it was like play a minion and it's frozen?
Like a cone of cold it, maybe.
Yeah.
You can hit, because if you just play that one and freeze that one, that's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, that's not really a 3-mana play.
But
yeah.
maybe, yeah.
There's something there. Yeah, we'll workshop it. There's something there.
All right. So Rogue, this forgotten secret class.
That's true.
2-mana secret. If your opponent played a spell last turn, your first spell for the turn costs 3 less.
Okay.
I just want prep back.
I thought that sounded oddly familiar.
I won a lot with that card.
So then, okay. So that would still trigger on their turn when they play the spell, and then your next turn you get the discount. All right, I can
It's like
see
competitive spirit. Triggers at the start of your turn.
All right. What about anyone have any hunter ideas? Come on.
I was
Hunter
honestly
ideas.
thinking like Hunter, like, is there some way that it could trigger to equip your weapon or upgrade your weapon or something? Because like,
Ooh, I like a weapon upgrade. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's no real weapon interaction. Because my first thoughts with Hunter were like, okay, like there's stuff that happens, like they freeze, they explode, they've got beasts that are summoned. Like, what could hunters possibly do? And weapons is like the one thing that they don't have a secret to revolve around. That
they
they're
also
pretty
do have
known
a
for.
weapon that takes advantage of all secrets, so I don't know how
Details.
Yes.
We want Hunter to
Actually,
be
you
amazing
know what?
all the time.
If it replaced your
I
weapon,
want-
they would be counterintuitive. So it would actually be kind of interesting to do something like that, maybe. I don't know.
And maybe even a follow-up to this question would be, what class would you like to see secrets added to?
I mean, I'm going to say priest, but that's my answer for everything.
Well,
All
I
right.
definitely don't want warrior secrets.
No, that.
No more help to warrior. Just no, unless they're like, I don't know, play a secret and you destroy your own armor or something. That'd be great. But who would play that card?
They did their time, and now they've more than made up for it, and we don't need to feel bad for them anymore.
Exactly.
All right, here, next question.
All right, so I don't intend to bring up any sort of bad feelings or memories, but since we're not having tournament mode anytime soon, if a Hearthstone developer came up to you and said, we're adding one mode to the game, what is it? You tell me what we need to add. What mode or game style would you guys add to the client?
I, for one, want a way to play against my friends with an arena deck. I want to, because I feel like,
Dang.
yeah, Garrett and I might have talked about this once or twice, but just the ability, because I feel like it's not only just that, like, I want to challenge, my friends, but it also really opens up the world of competitive Hearthstone, which really interests me. Like, I love Hearthstone esports. I have for a really long time. So the more formats we can get in that space, the more excited I am, and the more tournaments we can have, the more players we're going to see, the more names are going to become household names, the more popular that the esport's going to become. So I want to see a way that I can draft an arena deck and play my friend, because that means someone can make a tournament out of it.
I'll go piggyback off that, and I'd say I'd like a way to do an actual draft in Hearthstone. Like I don't play much Magic Arena or other
I didn't
or
know
other
how
card
hype
games.
dreamy we were going to go.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're
Arena exists.
I don't have to things I don't have to code. I'm much more happy to go off. But like when you do a draft in Magic, it's like such a different experience than drafting a deck in Hearthstone. And being able, and I know it would be a lot more difficult because of the way that the packs are set up. But if you could open up, I don't know, X number of packs and just know that all the cards were going to be from your class, and then build a deck out of it, or even just let you draft 5 more cards and take some cards out of your arena deck, so you're not locking yourself into those 30 cards. Just something to take a little bit of that variance out and add a little bit more skill into the deck building process would be really amazing.
I think probably the easy answer is to just make Brawliseum a permanent mode in the game.
Yeah.
But I'm really not convinced that that's the answer, because I remember when Tavern Brawl was released, and now there's still some Tavern Brawls where it's like, okay, just do my one and done, get in, get out. And that's something different every single week. What I think would be interesting is if they had a different game mode that every month was different, maybe different sets or something like that. I don't know if it would be a third game mode next to Standard or Wild or something, but I think Brawlicium, if we had something like that was rotating sets in and out, would be really interesting and open up for a lot of different deck builders and stuff.
Well, yeah, because I think that's one thing that we've kind of seen with these wild cards coming back into Standard right now is just the idea that, like, yeah, you can go play Wild, but that's everything. So by bringing those few cards into Standard, you're getting this different mix that you maybe haven't seen before. And I mean, they're experimenting with it in Arena right now anyways, right? So basically just take the idea of what they're doing in Arena and then throw it over into a Standard type game mode. Absolutely. Call it something else that's not Standard or Wild. I don't know what's in between.
And it would shake things up. And that would shake things up a little bit more evenly than happens now, because like now we're getting 20 cards, and like this is why they stopped doing adventures. Because they would have 45 cards and they would have to spike the power high just to make them make an impact. And so if you're adding in like a whole new set or taking out a set for a period of time or something just to get a little bit more evenness in there, then maybe we don't have evolve into Desert Hare and Demogu Flesh Shaper over and over again. Not that I'm bitter.
You're saying that like it's a bad thing.
It got me to Legend, but I didn't enjoy it.
Are you supposed to enjoy it all the time? You play Priest. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I'm the only one who's supposed to have fun.
So I'm not convinced tournament mode is dead, even though it is not something that necessarily I'm as keen as the rest of the community is. I think given Runeterra, given everything that's going on, given the outcry specifically when it first came out, when it got canceled, everything, I think now
getting
is
canceled was like, I wish they just never said anything.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was just the worst. It
Yeah.
was just like a gut punch.
I feel like now is the time that you could come back and say, you know what, maybe we were too hasty. Maybe this is, I think we're going to pick this back up and look at it again. They don't have to have details on it or anything, and it just. I don't think it's dead, and I think it's coming, and I don't want to get people's hopes up, but that would be. I think that would be something really cool if that was. We were talking about things I want to see versus things I might see.
Yeah.
That's something I want to see.
I think they definitely, with the language of the tournament mode cancellation, I think they definitely left it open for future exploration. Like, they didn't fully shut that door. They just basically said, look, you guys had one idea, we had another. No one was going to be happy here, so let's just stop what we're doing and we'll work on other stuff. And I feel like there's like one or two people with like a whiteboard that Friday afternoons they just sneak off and they're like, okay, how can we do this? Can we do this? That's what I think. That's how I think Team 5 works. A whole bunch of rooms with whiteboards.
And it could be that it's just the kind of thing that to do it right, we need a new client, and maybe that's coming sooner than we think. Just saying.
That's what I hope this whole Dragon Cataclysm thing is just Deathwing's going to come in, blow up the client, and give us new backend
We're blowing
mode.
up your client.
Yeah, blow
There
up the
you
client.
I mean, we've been seeing a lot of weird bugs lately, and bugs that we're not used to seeing, and I'm wondering if that's just, we got some people, not as many people doing support on the main client because they're all working on the new thing. That's my hope. I may be a little bit too optimistic or naive, but that's my hope.
All right, we have some time for a couple more questions.
Yeah, I missed the first opening minutes, so I don't know if this got brought up. But you guys were talking about switching up the classic sets or something. What about for keep with variety, like a new class? So I don't know if Death Knights work as well because they kind of did that with Frozen Throne. But what about the Monk or the Demon Hunter?
So do we want to see it or do we think we'll see it?
Yes.
Well, because that's been the big question. I mean, Hearthstone launched with the 9 classes. It's never changed. World of Warcraft has many more than that. We even got Demon Hunters over in WoW. So do you guys think that it's something that they might consider? Because again, I feel like we're in this weird will they, won't they world of Hearthstone now, because all the stuff they said they'd never do, including, like StarCraft and Diablo expansions and new classes. They always said no, but we live in a world now that maybe they're thinking yes. So are we going to see classes that are outside our original 9?
I think that if we were, it would have to be at the beginning of the year. Because you've got to wait until there's because that's been the thing historically that they've said specifically about that is like we'd have to build out so many cards. I think that you could do it at the beginning of the year. Well, I don't know. I think ideally you'd backfill the past 3 expansions so you're not starting from scratch. But I think so. I don't think we'll see it now. But man, I would love to see a monk class. I would love to see a demon hunter class. That could be a lot of fun.
Do you think we might see something more along the lines of an expansion like Frozen Throne where we got Death Knights, but it wasn't a whole new class, but we did get Death Knights in Hearthstone, air quotes?
Yeah, I definitely think we could see the Death Knight thing again with monks could make sense for most classes. Like Andrew said, it's just so hard to think that you have to go back and build the classic and basic set for a whole new class, and then all of the expansions for it, and then even then, it's just going to be so nerfed and wild. It's just not going to have any wild cards. It's just going to have what they start coming out with.
Unless they go all the way back, which seems like something they probably would never do. So then they have to either make them super, super overpowered to compensate for that, or they don't do it.
Yeah, so while I'd love to see it, I think they're more likely to go with another Death Knight-esque hero card changing thing if they do that in the future.
Yeah, and even on top of all those hurdles you guys just talked about, I don't think they're going to print 100 to whatever it would be 400 cards for one class as just an expansion of just here's a new class. There's also just the UI and way that the game looks problem where we have 3 and 3, and then you're just going to kind of add one over here or something. They're not going to do that, and they've been very careful about not adding features or adding features only when they look nice, and I think that that's an additional hurdle in addition to the content one that we were talking about.
Do you think that there might be anything? They seem to be experimenting a whole lot. I mean, we saw it in Arena. We've seen it with the adventures with the idea of dual class or new hero powers and stuff. Do you think that they could kind of create a dual class hero that somehow channels the monk, but maybe wouldn't make them create an entirely new set, but just say okay, as a monk you have access to these 2 classes of cards?
I think that sounds interesting, but I think it's difficult to do because what if they choose to add it to the class that you're really into? So if they take over the mage class or whatever, and it becomes the monk mage class for the year, then you're getting less cards.
Well,
for
mage could still be a thing, but then you just also have monks that have a special hero power and can pull from a couple of different classes of cards.
I think with Arena it's easier to do it just because you don't have to make because I keep thinking, man, if you get 2 cards together that are too
I don't balance
powerful,
things. I just have fun ideas.
it would be fun there, but I think that I mean if we're talking about UI being the issue and the potential of maybe new UI, that also seems like a really good time to say, oh, now we've got 12 heroes or something. So
yeah, could be.
Or maybe you could look at races as a way to differentiate. Maybe you could have an elven druid versus a dryad druid, and they have different hero powers. Or some way to we have a whole lot of portraits, and not all of them are easily accessible. But maybe that's a way to kind of break it up and make it a little bit more different without having to go quests to change the hero power. That could be some way that they could do it and get a little bit more variety there. I mean, Teppen does that with they have different colors, and then they have Morrigan versus Dante that have different ultimates. You could do something like that.
Could you choose a skill like cooking or fishing or
yes,
hunting?
professions in Hearthstone.
Hey, come on.
I think they could also do just the last point, I think they could also they were talking about maybe bringing back the tri-class cards at some point. They've only done that once, which obviously means they haven't gone through all of the permutations of that, or even many of them. So at some point, that might be another way that they could do something similar to that.
Yeah, let's go back to Gadget Sam. I actually wouldn't mind that.
Yep.
Yeah, let's just make larger and larger green men. That was fun.
I like James.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We are unfortunately out of time, so I'm going to have to cut you off. But let's give a big round of applause to our awesome Hearthstone panel. Now, we are going to have some mid-intermission entertainment with Jay the Bard. If you guys remember from the talent show last year, he's going to be performing some songs for you. And then we will be having the Overwatch panel up next. So make sure that you stick around.
Sweet.